Hello, my fellow Nigerians. This is another development in Nigeria. The Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Bola Tinubu over the failure to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to reverse the apparently unlawful increase in the pump price of petrol and to probe the allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the NNPCL. Joined in the suit as respondents are the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, and the NNPCL. In the suit number FHC stroke ABJ stroke CS stroke 1361 stroke 2024 filed last Friday at the Federal High Court, Abuja, Serap is asking the court to compel President Tinubu to direct the NNPCL to reverse the unjust, illegal, unconstitutional, and unreasonable increase in the price of petrol from 8.45 per litre to 600 per litre. Serap is also asking the court to compel President Tinubu to direct Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, and the appropriate anti-corruption agencies to probe the allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the NNPC, including the spending of the reported $300 million bailout funds collected from the federal government in August 2024 and the $6 billion debt it owes suppliers, despite allegedly failing to remit oil revenues to the treasury. Serap is asking the court to compel President Tinubu to direct Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, and appropriate anti-corruption agencies to prosecute anyone suspected to be responsible for the alleged corruption and mismanagement in the NNPCL if there is sufficient admissible evidence and to recover any proceeds of corruption. In the suit, Serap is arguing that the increase in petrol price is causing immense hardship to those less well off as the economic situation in Nigeria deteriorates. The increase is pursuing people further into poverty. Serap is also arguing that holding the NNPC to account for alleged corruption and mismanagement in this oil sector would serve legitimate public interest. The suit filed on behalf of Serap by his lawyer, Ebun Olu Adegboruwa, SAN, read in part. The increase in petrol price constitutes of a fundamental breach of constitutional guarantees and the country's international human rights obligations. Corruption in the oil sector and the lack of transparency and accountability in the use of public funds to support the operations of the NNPC have resulted in persistent and unlawful hike in petrol prices. Increasing petrol prices at any time when millions of Nigerians continue to face worsening economic conditions is entirely inconsistent with constitutional and international obligations to ensure the minimum living condition compatible with human dignity. The arbitrary increase has placed a disproportionate burden on the marginalized and the most vulnerable sectors of society, particularly those disadvantaged by poverty. The increase is seriously jeopardizing their living conditions as well as individuals' physical, emotional, and individual development, and intensifying and worsening social, economic, socio-economic conditions in the country. The increase constitutes a serious human rights problem because of the intensity with which it undermines the enjoyment and the exercise by Nigerians of their human rights and renders their civic participation illusory. The fundamental rights to life includes not only the right of every Nigerian not to be deprived of her life arbitrarily, but also to the right that she will not be prevented from having access to the conditions that guaranteed a dignified existence. The growing poverty and the inequality in the country has continued to adversely affect the right of Nigerians to particular participatory democracy and impede their ability to participate in their own government. Nigerians have so far too long been denied justice and the opportunity to get to the bottom of why they continue to pay the price for corruption in the oil sector. The increase in petrol price has rendered already impoverished citizens incapable of satisfying their minimum needs for survival. The increase is not inevitable as it stems from the persistent failure of successive governments to address the allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the oil sector and the impunity of suspected perpetrators. Persistent increase in petrol prices keep people in poverty, which in turn perpetuates discriminatory attitudes and practices against them. The government has a legal obligation to mobilize the maximum of the country's available resources to ensure people's social economic rights and to protect the most vulnerable and disadvantaged Nigerians. The government also has the legal obligation to probe and prosecute allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the NNPC and to ensure access to justice and effective remedies for victims of corruption. Investigating and prosecuting the allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the oil sector would be entirely consistent with the Nigerian Constitution, 1999, as amended, and the country's international anti-corruption obligations. Section 13 of the Nigerian Constitution imposes clear responsibility on the government to confirm, to observe, and apply to provisions of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Section 15/5 imposes the responsibility on the government to abolish all corrupt practices, including in the NNPC. Under Section 16(1) of the Constitution, the government has a responsibility to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and the happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice and equality of status and opportunity. Section 16(2) further provides that the material resources of the nation are harnessed and distributed as best as possible to serve the common good. According to our information, the Nigerian National Petrol Company, NNPC Limited, recently increased the price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, across its retail outlets. The price of the product increased to 855 naira per liter from about 600 and in some instances about 900 per liter. The apparently unlawful increase in petrol prices allowed a scarcity caused by the reported refusal by suppliers to import petroleum products for the NNPCL over a $6 billion debt The NNPC allegedly failed to remit $2.4 billion and 164 billion naira of oil revenues into the public treasury, as documented in the recently published 2020 annual report by the Auditor General of the Federation. No date has been fixed for the hearing for the suit. But my people, you should wait and listen to hear what is going to happen when the suits commence. My people, let's allow refinery belonging to Dangote to operate independently by fixing pocket-friendly price. Force the government and the NNPC to make our refineries to start working, one after the other. Nigeria should start exporting petroleum products along with crude oil so that the naira will appreciate. Force any Nigerian having refineries abroad to send their products to other countries and leave Nigeria alone. If you fail to act, something disastrous will happen to the ships bringing in oppressive imported fuel. The corruption of the PDP 16 years they were shouting can't be compared with that of theirs APC or less than 2 years. My people, what do you suggest? In your opinion, in the opinion section and comment section, say your opinion, comment, share to this, and subscribe to this channel. Share, love, and like. God bless Nigeria. Thanks you, and God bless. Amen.